Hello, everybody, and welcome or welcome back to the second shelf. And yes, finally to another book haul. I haven't done one of those in quite a while. I don't think I've done a book haul since I've been back after my break. So high time. And I have, as always, 7 books. I seem to buy 7 books. Well, there are a couple of more coming, I have to admit. So, and yeah, I think that's all for the preliminaries. Let's just get started. The first one is a mass market paperback. I normally don't buy those because I think they are a bit difficult to read. But with crime novels, I don't care. So this is Elizabeth George with No One as a Witness, which is number 13 in the Linley mystery series. Inspector Linley, Inspector Havers as the main investigators with a couple of side characters. And if you follow my channel for any length of time, you know that Heidi from My Reading Life and I, we are making our way through the series. And we are more than halfway through because I think publication-wise we are at 21 or 22. I have no idea what this is about because I buy it as the next in the series. So we will find out together once Heidi and I read this one. Not sure when yet, maybe in November. And otherwise there is Mystery Madness something. There's always Cloak and Dagger. Now, Mystery Madness is in March, but Cloak and Dagger is in December. So, yeah. The next 3 are from the same author, and it's a kind of a Siri Hustvedt purge. Splurge, not purge. Purge is the opposite. Splurge. And 2 of them I have already read, but wanted to have them as a physical copy because I read them either on script or whatever that is called now, Everend, or I had a Kindle thing, and I wanted a whole collection of Siri Hustvedt in my bookcase. She's an American author, born 1955, if you're not familiar with her. And I really, really enjoy her work. She writes fiction, but also a lot of nonfiction about art, about psychoanalysis. She also is very into neuroscience. She taught psychiatric patients for a while, writing, and she gives talks like peer review. She writes peer-reviewed papers on the topic of brain stuff. I don't read those because I don't understand them, but just as an introduction. So I bought one of her novels, The Summer Without Men, which was published quite a while ago. I would think 2011. Yeah, so that's more than a decade ago. This is definitely one of my favorites. It's a short one. Maybe I reread it. There's still time for shorty September. This is the story of a woman who is fed up with her husband and leaves for the summer to teach a course at a school, her daughter, her mother. So that's The Summer Without Men. And I thought it was just hilariously funny, the way she talks about relationships. I mean, Siri Hustvedt talks about relationships and about sex. And yeah, this book has, for me, amazingly low ratings on Goodreads, like I think under 3.6 or something. I guess Siri Hustvedt is not for everybody. Her type of humor, her focus on relationships and is maybe, I don't know, not for everyone, but I just really enjoy her work. The next one is also one for the bookshelf that I have already read. That is The Shaking Woman, or A History of My Nerves, an essay, a long essay published in 2019, I think. No, 2009. Well, I was off by only a decade, but the 9 was correct. And this is based on, it's a kind of a combination of memoir and exploration of the brain mind issue, and if you have some sort of neurological disorder or issue, how various disciplines would approach that. So psychoanalysis, a psychiatrist, a neurobiologist, a neurologist, and it's very interesting. I think one of Siri Hustvedt's pleas is that these sciences should talk with one another, because they have a certain expert alley into the human mind, human brain, but it's also, which is good, but it's also limited. And by showing how various disciplines would approach a certain issue, it shows us that maybe it would be a good thing if they collaborated. Anyway, the Shaking Woman or History of Our Nerves is based, that's why I said memoir, on her own experience. Siri Hustvedt had been suffering from migraines all her life, but at a talk she gave for a commemoration for her father, who had died 2 years previously, she started having a kind of seizure, but only from the neck down. So she shook violently from the neck down, but she could talk, she could finish her speech, she didn't shake in her head, and she was not fainting or anything. And that shaking occurred a couple of more times. And so she tried to investigate what caused it, what is wrong with me, quote unquote. I really, really enjoyed this essay, but again, beware if you are thinking, the memoir is maybe 30% of the book, and she really goes into depth when it comes to investigating neurobiology, neuroscience, psychiatric analysis, things like that. If that is not your thing, you will probably be bored by this book. So just as a warning. And then I bought her latest, which was, I think this one was published in 2019. It's in her new collection of essays, Mothers, Fathers, and Others. I have to check now whether this is true. 2021. Yeah. Unbelievable. So this is her latest nonfiction, and I just started with it. So it is, again, most of her essays are a combination of very personal things. In this collection, she talks a lot about her mother, her grandmother, her mother was a Norwegian immigrant. Her father was the son of immigrants, or the grandson of immigrants. I think his grandfather and grandmother immigrated from Norway to Minnesota. So she explores that, but it's also always stuff about art, about feminism. And I'm not buying them because of a certain topic, but because of the author. So far, I'm really liking them, and I hope to finish them maybe even in September. It's not a shorty quite. It's 270 pages, but it's a quick read. Her essays, when they are, especially when they are on the more personal side, are not, you don't have to work really hard to understand them. She writes essays where you do. She wrote one called The Disillusion with Certainty. Disillusion with Certainty, I think. And that's a 200-page essay on the whole, Cartesian dualism. And you have to work, but those are fairly easy, so that's fine. The next one is a translated work of fiction, and the original author is probably a man. So why am I showing this on a channel that is dedicated to women? But first of all, we are not sure who the author is. And second of all, it's all about the translation. And I'm talking about the Iliad, Emily Wilson's new translation of this big poem that came out last year. And I'm reading this one with Adam from Memento Mori. For me, it is a reread of sorts, because I obviously haven't read her translation yet. I did read the Iliad once when I was very young, high school age, in German, and once a couple of years ago in an English translation, but a prose translation, I think by Rieu, if I'm not mistaken. So in a sense, it's a reread, but also not. And Emily Wilson is, their bookmarks going, is doing the verse thing. She did, I have to keep my finger in this now, because otherwise we'll do it like this. She is doing the verse, but not in the same meter as in the Old Greek, because that's a meter unfamiliar to us. So she changes it into something that is more approachable to Westerns, because what I really like, I read her Odyssey translation. I thought it was fantastic, the best translation. It was the third or fourth translation I read, and it's absolutely the best. And one of her approaches when it comes to translating Homer is that it is not high literature in the sense that you should not understand it at all. No, it was something that was in the oral tradition. It was narrated for people like you and me. It's not for scholars. It was not a poem for scholars, but it was just for very ordinary people. And I really like that Emily Wilson is trying to capture that in her translation. So not going all highbrow, Homer, and only 10% of the population at the most, should understand that. No, this is for regular folks. And of course, it is still somewhat difficult, because it is a culture that is, even though we always claim our culture is based on the Greek-Roman culture, but it's still very far away. So this idea of the war, the Trojan War with the Greeks, and the hero worship, the language they use. I mean, we don't call a president godlike, or at least most of us don't. So it is still, you have to, make a certain leap, but it's still language-wise very, very accessible. It has a very good flow and pace. There's a lot of action here, of course, because it is about the war. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I mean, it's gory. There are whoever authored it originally didn't shy away from telling me of broken limbs, and he broke both tandems and then both legs, and blood was splashing out of a huge wound from his neck. Yeah, war is not pretty. So anyway, the Iliad. And I will get to those bookmarks later. Then I bought a novel that I've been meaning to read for a long time, but it's also on my 1001 books that I have to read before I die list. If you're not familiar with that, you probably have heard of those books, 1001 novels you have to read before you die. And I love lists. I just love lists. But these books are very white and very male. I mean, the authors in those books. So it just didn't gel with me. So I made my own list. You can find it on Goodreads. I will leave a link, if I remember, down below. And I'm including fiction and nonfiction also. And I try to be more diverse, and it's exclusively women. And one of the books is Andrea Levy, A Small Island, which was published in 2004, so it's 20 years old, and I still haven't read it. And this is historical fiction set in London, and it's about an immigrant from Jamaica and a landlady who is white. I mean, that's not the book, but I think that's what they wanted to express with the cover. So you have, it's just set after World War II, 1948, when Jamaicans returned to England, and the struggle, the racist struggle they have to endure. That's basically all I know of the book. I've seen it making the rounds lately again. I don't know, maybe there was some event that I missed, but I'm really looking forward to finally reading this one. And then the last book is also a book that I have already read on my e-reader, but wanted to have it. First of all, I wanted to reread. I want to reread it. And second of all, I want to have it on my shelf. And that is Lara Prescott, The Secrets We Kept, published first in 2019. So finally a book in 2019. This is also historical fiction based on kind of true events, and it's a debut novel, which really amazed me because I love this book. So it's about women working as secretaries for the intelligence service in the US and then becoming spies. And it's centering around the novel, is it Dr. Zhivago? I think it's Dr. Zhivago, yes, who that is not allowed in the Soviet Union, and they want to smuggle it out of the Soviet Union to have it translated into English. So that is kind of the frame of the story, but it is mostly about those women. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. So I hope it will live up to what I remember when I reread it. Not sure yet when, but soon. Okay, so those were the 7 books that I bought recently. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know whether you read any of those or leave any other comment. As you know, I'm really happy with your comments always, and I'll see you. Thank you very much for watching. Did I say that? And I'll see you all soon in the next one, next Sunday.